Good evening, Ram fans, and welcome to this haunted episode of CTV Sports. I'm Jason Williams.
And I'm Bishop Sankey. And we have a spooky show for you playing tonight. But before we dive into that, Jason, tell me a little bit more about you.
So I was drafted to the Sacramento Kings in 1998, the year real me was born, actually. I like Jason Williams because he was a really good passer. He liked to do the behind the back, the half court, and he was really like a street player, so I think he was a really fun guy to watch. And I'd like to think if I played basketball, I would be like him.
Yeah, he was. There are a lot of guys who emulated their game off of him and respect him a lot. Good old J. Will. I'm Bishop Sankey, former Washington running back. I was a leading rusher in Washington history up until the start of this season, actually, when Myles Gaskin passed me. I played a couple years in the NFL, but back in the heydays at Washington, I was winning some football games over there in Montlake.
Back in the heydays.
Yeah.
Well, now that we know a little bit more about each other, let's get started with the frightening loss the CSU football team faced this weekend.
The Wyoming Cowboys traveled to Canvas Stadium for the first time ever on Friday for the 109th Border War, but the new facility and home field advantage didn't give the Rams enough of a boost to win what many Colorado State fans felt was a must-win football game. It was a slow first half for both sides as no offense was found, with neither able to make a big play to jolt their team to life. The Cowboys did find themselves in scoring territory once in the first half with a field goal. The Rams had a chance to respond with a 58-yard attempt to end the half, but the kick proved just a little too long as Bryan missed right, sending the teams into the locker room at 3-0. The script was flipped in the second half and scoring was abundant, with the Cowboys finding the end zone in the first drive of the half. Wyoming would score two more times in the third quarter, both off of Ram turnovers, leading by as much as 24-0. The Rams, as they have done in most of their games this season, turned on the gas after finding themselves in a hole. They scored to close out the third quarter and went back and forth with the Cowboys for a majority of the fourth quarter, scoring 3 touchdowns in 3 possessions. The Rams' defense, which was on the field for a majority of the game, had already been worn down and couldn't hold off the Cowboys as Wyoming responded with a field goal and a touchdown between CSU's 3 scoring drives. The final push by the Rams was cut short when Colin forced a throw into tight coverage with under 4 minutes remaining that was intercepted, down 2 scores. The Rams were the victims of the rushing attack all game, allowing 291 yards on the ground for the Cowboys while only putting up 20 themselves. The final score was 34-21. Quarterback Colin Hill did play the entire game, the first game he has started since tearing his ACL over 2 years ago. The Rams will get a bye this week, a much-needed break to rally the team, and as Coach Mike Bobo pointed out, work on fundamentals.
We are now joined by the third baseman for the Chicago Cubs, Chris Bryan. Thank you, Chris, for being with us today.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to be here.
So we brought you here to talk a little bit about the CSU football team and what you guys are thinking overall about bowl games and the possibility of that. So I'm going to start off with asking you guys, do you think there's a possibility that this team is going to make it into a bowl game this year?
Yeah, I would say there's not a very good chance. I mean, if you look at the remaining schedule, you have Utah State, Nevada, and Air Force. Beating Nevada and Air Force is pretty optimistic, thinking they're going to win both of those. Utah State, I see, is an unwinnable game. Even if they found a way to win that, it's tough seeing them win the other 2. We haven't been able to be confident in this Rams team all season long, so it's very difficult imagining them going 3-0 from here on out.
Yeah, definitely. I got to agree with you. The Utah State game is the big one they circle. Last time they had a bye week, we saw them rattle off 2 straight wins, but they weren't against tough teams. And once they went from the bye week to Boise State, one of the better teams in the conference, we saw it kind of fade away as they faced that real tough test. So I think off the bye week, Nevada's a good shot for them to win a football game, but it all hinges on Utah State, who's currently ranked 18th in the AP poll right now. So that's going to be a tough one for them.
So we've got 3 games left in the season. Last year we went to the bowl game with 7 wins. Right now we have 4. Let's say we do win those 3 games. We did beat Arkansas. We all thought that was an unthinkable thing. Let's say that we win those 3 games. Do we have a possibility?
That's a good point, White Chocolate. I would say making a bowl game, yes, if they win the 3 games. I mean, going 6-6, most 6-6 teams do make bowl games now. Even 5-7 teams sneak in. With the money surrounding bowl games, they're having as much as they can each season. So yeah, if they win all 3, they're probably going to go to a bowl game. But it's definitely tough to imagine.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah, and it's one of those scenarios where the way this season has gone, the ups and downs they've had, the way they've performed in bowl games the last few years, I feel like this team, this coaching staff, the program as a whole, kind of doesn't need a bowl game. If they win against Nevada and Air Force, lose to Utah State, they go 5-7 and say, hey, we had some really bad football, but we kind of rallied and won some close games and walked away with 5 wins, almost made a bowl game. I think they go in a little bit more hungry next year instead of, guys, we squeaked out a bowl win. That's great. Like, look at everything good that's happening, because there's not a lot of good going on in this football program right now.
That's a good point, what you're saying about the whole attitude around it. The last 4 bowl games we've been in, we've lost. All of our bowl games under Bobo, we've lost. So what do you guys think it is with the program, and how do you think that can change?
Well, first of all, I would agree with you. I think a bowl game shouldn't be the end goal. I think it should be developing the pieces for the future, like Colin Hill, who we saw get his first start since 2016 last week, which is huge. But connecting to my next one, he threw 54 passes. You have a guy making his first start. 2 years, he throws 54 passes. As Bobo said, that's unacceptable. You can't have a one-dimensional offense, and that's what CSU has right now. They have no run game. When you compare them from this year to last year, you know, they still have a good passing game. Their defense was just as bad last year. There's no changes. They have no run game. A lot of that's on the offensive line, lost key contributors. I think that's what they need to produce moving forward is the running backs in general. That's been their biggest issue this year.
Yeah, well, and the O-line, which contributes directly to that. It's been tough for them to keep their quarterbacks upright, whether it's KJ or Colin Hill, and it's been tough for them to run block. They've kind of just emergency pass blocked when they need to and been okay at it late in games when they're really struggling to put some points on the board. But the O-line, if they can develop that, because I think they have some decent running backs. When you look at McElroy and Kinsey, those are some talented guys. I think Kinsey's an extremely talented guy who's been underutilized, but they got to get that offensive line put together, keep everybody upright behind them before they can start to look at being a great offense. You can't be a great offense without a good O-line.
Right.
Absolutely, and we've had a lot of injuries on that O-line lately. And then we lost Rashad Body at the running back position. But let's go ahead and talk about the men's basketball team now. As we're starting to go into their season, do you guys think that people have higher expectations for this team than the football team?
I would say, yeah. I mean, it's tough to compare their expectations in general, but I mean, the basketball team for the first time in 9 seasons didn't finish 500 or better last year. 11-21, 4-14 in conference. You got a culture change, which is huge, transitioning to Medved at head coach. That's big for them, no outside distractions. I'd see them winning anywhere from 16 to 18 games. I mean, if you look at it in depth, they lose Prentice Nixon, their leading scorer, who transferred to Iowa State. They have Chris Martin coming in from Oral Roberts, who averaged over 13 there, was one of the best three-point shooters in the country. He'll compensate there. Then you have all the core guys back in Carvacho, Page, and Bonner. There's no reason they shouldn't be better. They're deeper, and they have a new coach, which they clearly needed. Yeah,
I think the new culture, as you mentioned, is the biggest thing for them. When you look at Medved's coaching history, every program he's been at, be it Furman or Drake, he's improved on the win total from the season prior. That's all this team needs. The fan base, after everything that happened with Eustace, how he departed, just growth going forward. And one of the big things from last season that made a lot of fans disappointed, not just the whole Eustace situation, but this team wasn't in basketball games. They were getting blown out. They were losing by 20, 30 points regularly. I think the way Coach Medved coaches, the style he is, the type of person he is, the way he's making a lot of these players excited about what's to come, they're going to be in a lot of good basketball games. They might not win all of them, but they're going to be close. It's going to be exciting to be at Moby and watch a lot of really good basketball. So I don't think record matters this season.
I agree. I think Moby Madness is going to be insane this year with Medved coming back. That's something that he stresses so much. And also defense. I think on the other side of the ball, I think this team is really going to have their foot on the pedal the entire game. And they're going to have to do that if they're going to want to be successful.
Definitely, yeah. Well, that's all we have for you guys here with Chris Bryant and Jason Williams. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, John Lyle's going to be with us to give you Castro's cut.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. what I've always wanted to be.
How's it going, Rams? Welcome to Castro's Cut. I'm John Michael Lyles, skating my way into tonight's show. So, we're going to take a look at what's coming up in CSU Sports this week. So, without further ado, let's get rolling right to it. We're going to start off with the best sport, hockey. We're going to take a look at the hockey team. They've been gone for a couple of weeks, but they're back for their first away series of the season on Thursday. They're heading to Arkansas to face the University of Arkansas on their home ice. That's going to be at 7:15 in the evening. Then on Friday and Saturday, they're going to start a 2-game series against Missouri State when they travel over there on their home ice. It's going to be a fun weekend for them. Let's see if that break helps them pull out a couple wins this weekend. Next, we're looking at the volleyball squad. Volleyball has an early game coming up this week, tomorrow, Tuesday. It's going to be against the Cowgirls. They're riding down here to Moby Arena where the Rams are going to be ready to face them at 7 in the evening. And then on Thursday, Rams traveling out to Air Force USAF Academy. That match is going to begin at 6:30 in the evening. We'll keep you posted on that one. Make sure we don't miss out on a single thing for you. Next, we're taking a look at the basketball squads. First, the women's. They're getting ready for their season with a couple exhibition games this week. First one on Thursday against South Dakota School of Mines. It's going to begin at 7 in the evening at Moby. Then their second one, again, next day on Friday against Colorado Christian University, also beginning at 7 in the evening for you. See how the women's squad holds up before the season starts up. Then, next, the men's basketball team. They have an exhibition game of their own, going to be on Saturday against CSU Pueblo, also at Moby Arena. That game, though, beginning at 2 in the afternoon for you. So, that's all the sports we have coming up this week, but you know what time it is now. It's time for your top play of the week, so let's roll it. In the spirit of Halloween, CSU decided to give us quite the spooky performance on Friday against Wyoming, so we had to give the top play of the game to the Wyoming squad, coming away with beautiful touchdowns like that one. Nico Hall there for you. Well, Rams, that's all we've got for you, but don't go anywhere. Stay tuned for the Triple J Pick'em Challenge coming up next.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
Hello, Ram fans, and welcome back. We are now with another week of the Triple J Pick'em Challenge. I'm now joined by Peyton Manning and LeBron James to break down our top picks for this week's college football games. So with this week's standings, to begin with the picks, we have number 1 Alabama taking on number 4 LSU.
Let's check out these standings real quick. We have me in the first lead, just to say that out loud real quick, because we didn't want to leave it up there and not talk about it.
We don't got to talk about it.
All right, okay, we'll talk about the game.
Jared is still winning. He's been winning since week 1, so we get it.
All the obvious picks, all right?
Yes.
Okay, not right. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys go first.
All right,
in these.
so
into the Alabama game.
We have number 1 Alabama taking on number 4 LSU at Death Valley. So, Jessica.
So I'm definitely picking Alabama here. I made the mistake once of picking against Alabama this past season. Biggest mistake I've made. I think that's definitely why Jared's winning right now. But I don't think that it's definitely going to, so it's going to be an outstanding offense from Alabama versus a really good defense here at LSU. I just don't think that LSU's offense is going to be able to keep up with Alabama in any way, shape, or form. I think it's not even going to be close. I think Alabama's going to win this one.
Yeah, Alabama, I mean, they're number 1 for a reason. Tua Tagovailoa, he's obviously the best quarterback in the NCAA, probably the front runner for the Heisman. Interesting fact,
He has not thrown a pass in a fourth quarter yet this year. That's how bad they've been beating teams.
We might see him being needed in this game in the fourth quarter, but I don't think so.
All right, so I'm going to say he is going to be in that fourth quarter. But with this, though, you say winning. That's not going to happen. LSU is going to come out with this win. And then here's why I say that. Tua, you're saying he's great? He's coming off an injury right now. We're not sure how bad that injury is yet. We'll have to gauge that. But with Tua, they're going to have, everyone knows Jerry Jeudy. Everyone knows how great he is, a wide receiver for Alabama. But LSU, they combat him with their best cornerback in the NCAA. His name is Greedy Williams. He's going to be the top 5 pick in the NFL draft. He's obvious going to be his best.
Going to be number 1.
Yes, but they have the best secondary in the league right now, in NCAA league. They have 2 guys nominated for the best defensive back in the league. And also, LSU's strength is running. It's their biggest strength, and that's Alabama's one small sore spot that I found from them, and they are letting up 3.54. They're letting up, but that's biggest strength versus biggest weakness. That's a big issue. So LSU's going to come up with this win, and it's in Death Valley, the best home advantage you can get in the entire league.
I mean, if you have to play in Tuscaloosa, that's hard to play there.
Yeah, but where did Georgia lose recently?
Georgia's not a very good team this year.
All right, want to move on, LeBron?
I mean,
come on, LeBron.
So we can continue. And number 14, Penn State traveling to the Big House to take on Michigan. So, Jared, now you can start off with this one. What do you have to say?
Okay, unlike you, I don't like to choose against my boss's wishes and go against Michigan all the time. But this time I'm going to keep it with Michigan. They're going to say winning in this one. And Michigan is ranked a lot higher than Penn State. And they haven't lost since week 1 against Notre Dame, and Notre Dame's a great team, so I don't see them losing this game.
Well, we don't even have to argue here. This is kind of nice. Sorry, are we doing Michigan?
Yeah.
Is this the right one?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I have my notes in the wrong order.
It's all good.
So I picked Michigan as well. They've just been a dominant team this whole season. I don't think there's much more to say about that. We all agree here.
Yeah, Shea Patterson and Donovan Peoples-Jones. I mean, I've been picking against Michigan. Sydney knows, but come on. I got it. That's why I'm losing, because I keep picking against Michigan.
And
so I got to
all
pick them
the other picks combined.
Oh, okay, here we go.
Go 0 for 5.
Okay.
That can't blame your boss.
Okay.
All right.
Stop it.
Moving on, we have number 6 Georgia Bulldogs taking on the number 11 Kentucky Wildcats. And I'm going to let you lead this one off here.
All right, I got the right game this time. So Georgia was stellar last week against Florida. Really like to see their performance there carry on to this week. And Kirby Smart knows to look out for linebacker Josh Allen. He's really powerful, so they know he's coming. They're knowing to look out for him. And overall, I think he's really athletic. He knows how to move in and out of the pocket. So I think he's going to still have success throwing down the field this weekend.
Yeah, Georgia, they're a great team. Jake Fromm, all those guys over there, running back U, as they call themselves. So one thing they're going to have to watch out for is Benny Snell Jr. That is Georgia's weak spot, is stopping the run. And Benny Snell Jr. has been having a great year this year. Kentucky coming off a big win last week. It was a questionable win because of the offensive pass interference call, but it was very questionable. However, Kentucky, they have a big chance to win this game. Not much to say about them.
Yeah, well, Kentucky's been the underdogs in this position before. Not as big, yes, but against Florida, and they end up beating Florida. But I'm taking them in this win, like you said earlier, Benny Snell Jr. That's a huge factor. He has 9 touchdowns on the season, insane amount of yards. I think he's going to pull out the win for this game.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll have to see. I think this is where I'm going to take my lead.
I mean, you don't get ahead of yourself there.
Yeah.
So next we have number 12 Virginia taking on number 15 Texas. And you know how you like your Longhorns, huh, Jess?
I do love my Longhorns. So Texas may have lost to Oklahoma State last week, but they're actually 3-0 against ranked opponents, and they're 4-0 at home, and this is going to be a home game. I truly believe that Texas is back, maybe not fully this season, but I know next season's going to be great. As we are talking about this season, I think they're going to win this one. Sam Erlinger is just too good.
Okay, so you said they haven't lost a game against ranked teams, right?
Yeah.
They have lost to an unranked team. That's a bigger issue. If you're losing to a worse team, I think that's a bigger problem. That's just me, but I don't know.
All right.
But West Virginia, they're allowing less yards per game than Texas. They have a better defense. They have been showing that throughout the year. And West Virginia also has more yards per game. So overall offense, they've been showing more than Texas has been showing. And I honestly think that Texas, their defense has been a big sore spot. They let up 222 yards and 10 receptions last game. and that was to one wide receiver. That wasn't even to all of them. That was just one. And they're not even, and Oklahoma wasn't even ranked, so I think West Virginia is going to come out with this one.
It is troubling to lose to an unranked team, but at the same time, when you are playing a ranked team and you are a ranked team, there's so much more intensity, and like I said, they're at home. I don't think you can even just...
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pick against Will Grier. He's probably one of the better quarterbacks in the NCAA. He's passed for 2,200 yards this year, but Sam Ehlinger has 1,800 yards. I think this game's going to be just a complete shootout. Neither team has a good running game, so it's going to rely on the defense of the DBs to see who wins it. But I took Texas in this one because, Longhorns, man.
If you want to lose, go ahead. Yeah, sure.
All right, well, finally we have decided to switch out of football and do a way too early college basketball national championship prediction. So, Jared, let's hear what you got here.
All right, I chose Louisville. That's like one of those ones that's out there. They're not even.
That is out there.
They're not even in the top 25 ranks. I know what I'm saying though. Because 2013, I was for them. I believed in them when Kevin Ware went down. I believed in them against Michigan. Still believe in them now. But they have Chris Mack still. That's one of the things that's been continuous throughout all of this. One of the best coaches in the league by far. But still, I think they have a lot of recruits coming in. They have a lot of good things clicking for them. I think they're going to shock the world and end up winning it all this year.
I mean, yeah, they're obviously playing in the ACC. You got to be a good team, and so I went with Duke this year. They came in preseason ranked number 4. They got R.J. Barrett, Cam Reddish, Zion Williamson, top 3 prospects coming out of high school, and they're all going to be in the starting lineup, along with Trey Jones, who is Tyus Jones' younger brother. Tyus Jones won a championship at Duke. Also reclassified Joey Baker. He reclassified just so he could play with this group of guys, and he might not even play. He's going to be a redshirt maybe. But if they need depth off the bench, he's there. The key in these games, though, are going to be Marquise Bolden and Javin DeLaurier. They are the 2 bigs, and they're the 2 juniors on the team. They have seen the worst of it, and they've seen the best of it. Last year, losing to Kansas, and the year before that, losing to South Carolina. But the year before that, they were one step after the national championship team. One thing this year is that they've played 5 exhibition games, 2 in this last week, and they've combined to win those by 146 points. They won their last game by 84 points, and against Ferris State. I mean, obviously nobody knows who Ferris State is.
Yeah, so
but they have those. You have those guys on the bench who came in for the whole second half that can shoot. So that's why, I mean, Duke will have a good big game against Kentucky coming up in the State Farm Classic, but took Duke to win it all this year.
Clearly, Jason loves Duke. He had a lot to say there. I have much less to say. I picked North Carolina Tar Heels to win this one. I think that they came off a really bad season last year. I think this year is going to be a lot better for them. They have a lot of younger guys coming in. Top prospect Nasir Little, I think he's going to be really powerful. And then Seventh Woods, he had an injury last year, and I think he's going to come up and be better than ever this year.
Yeah, that's a lot of speculation for all of us there.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's way too early, though. You have to.
College basketball's right around the corner. So.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, all right, Ram fans, that's all we have for you for the Triple J Pick'em Challenge this week. But don't go anywhere, because when we return, we will update you on cross country, tennis, soccer, and volleyball.
Okay, so we drowned the fire. Yep. Stirred it. Drowned it again. And now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. Already posted it.
You are listening to 90.5 KCSU Fort Collins with DJ Meanbeat,
DJ Nightshade, DJ Wildcard. Music to me is one of the best creative outlets that I can think of. An escape from the real world.
Music to me is an expression of love.
To go from like folk to hip hop to like classic rock, 1960s bossa nova. With music, there's like no boundaries.
I work here because I love music, and you do too.
Yeah.
Did I scare you?
You scared me, Jessica. Wow.
Well, as bad as I scared you, that was not as scary as CSU's victorious weekend after losing the tough match at Wyoming a few weeks ago. The CSU volleyball team hasn't dropped a conference match since. The Rams hosted San Diego State on Thursday, determined to beat the Aztecs by even more than before, and they did just that. In the first set, CSU held SDSU to only 9 points and never allowed them to score off of the serve. The Rams were perfect on side out. The second set was better for the Aztecs, but not by much, as they could only score 11 points to the Rams' 25. 18 of their points were kills, and Paulina Hoger-Jensen stunted with 7 herself. The Rams let up a little bit in the third set, allowing the Aztecs to hang with them throughout the set, but finally pulled away with a 4-point run in the very end, 25-18. The sweep against San Diego State is a product of the Rams' aggressive serving and accuracy. 3 of the 7 aces came from Maddie Fouts, and Olivia Nicholson added 3 more. Kirsty Hillier won the night with a career-high 80% hitting percentage. Hillier, Hoger-Jensen, Brianna Reynolds, and Sasha Colombo gave SDSU their toughest match on defense, as they hit better than any other team they have played this season. While the Aztecs were also kept to their own lowest hitting percentage this season at a 4.1%.
The Rams continued their weekend on Saturday, which was perhaps the biggest match of the season in Mountain West volleyball. The top 2 teams were going at it with first place in the standings on the line. This was their annual Pink Out game, which meant the Rams and their fans alike were in support of breast cancer awareness. The first set was all it had been cracked up to be, with neither team pulling away. The Rams led for the whole set, but Fresno was right on their heels the whole time. It was the Rams' size and net presence leading to 6 blocks in the first set alone that held onto the lead and eventually took the set 25-23. The second set was a different beast altogether. Head coach Tom Hilbert pointed out that it was CSU's serving pressure that gave the Rams the edge, and they used it to dominate the Bulldogs with 18 kills in the second set alone and a scoring margin of 25-13. After a much-needed intermission, the Bulldogs came out with fire in the third set, capitalizing on Rams' mistakes. But the Rams had a home crowd that was fired up and a veteran head coach who told them to, quote, take it point by point. The Rams did exactly that, got back in the set, and went on multiple service runs behind 4 points from freshman Sasha Colombo and 5 points from sophomore Brianna Reynolds. The same service pressure that gave the Rams the dominant set 2 win. The third set ended with the Bulldogs clearly on their heels and a score of 25-17. The Rams swept the Bulldogs and improved to 18-6 overall and 10-2 in conference, the best record in the Mountain West. The fight is not over, and the Rams will finish their 3-match homestand when Wyoming travels to Fort Collins tomorrow evening.
To add to the CSU volleyball news, Kirsty Hillier has been awarded Mountain West Offensive Player of the Week. And just last week, Hillier was Defensive Player of the Week, proving that she can help her team immensely on both sides of the ball. The junior put down 20 kills in the previous 2 games and only letting up 1 error throughout. This is Hillier's 4th time being recognized for this honor. The girls' tennis team spent the weekend in New Mexico competing in the 2018 Halloween Classic. The tournament lasted 3 days, but the Rams looked dominant on Saturday, where they went 14-1 across their singles and doubles teams. Emma Corwin and Emily Colbo went 3-0 as a duo, beating New Mexico and Iowa State.
The Mountain West Cross Country Championships were Friday, and the Ram squad continued a season of success. The 17th-ranked men's squad finished 3rd in the tournament, including Eric Hammer and Carson Hume finishing 2nd and 3rd individually. The women finished 7th overall, just a tie-break rule behind Nevada, who had the same number of team points. Regionals are up next for both squads on November 9th.
The CSU women's soccer team has officially ended their season with 6 wins, 9 losses, and 4 tie games after their final loss to Wyoming and Laramie this weekend. The first half was scoreless. Hunter Pfeiffer made 3 saves in the last 25 minutes of the half, and 5 total for the day. On the other side of the field, Lexi Swenson, Kaylee Lordeman, and Allie Murphy-Paletto couldn't sneak any by split goalkeepers Christina Salzar and Hannah Lee, who kept the Rams off the board the entire game. In the 76th minute, Adeline Vergara took a shot on the CSU goal after a couple of headers bounced around, and Pfeiffer couldn't make it in time for the save. Although the record doesn't sound pretty for CSU, this season they broke a program record with 6 wins, and Pfeiffer set another program record with 7 solo shutouts. Bill Hempen says his team is going in the right direction, and they have so much to build with from where they ended this season.
All right, Ram fans, that is all we have for you this week.
But make sure you follow the CTV Sports Twitter account to follow CSU athletics throughout the week. Have a safe and haunted Halloween, Rams.